all. So number one is to look for your somatic signals of overwhelm. In order to do this, we need to know how we register the overwhelm that precedes either disconnecting from a relationship or demanding and grabbing. And often there are very distinct somatic signals that let us know we're reaching a state of internal danger. And sometimes we can feel them, but we ignore them. We don't do anything about it. But sometimes we completely fail to register them. And that can be because we haven't been taught how to register them in earlier life. And to start to get to know your somatic signals, it can be very helpful to engage in somatic work of some kind. So anything that helps you to associate, to self-inquire, and to listen to and respond to your own body and the signals that it's constantly giving you. Next is to create a circuit break in your experience. So when you notice that you're approaching overwhelm or have entered overwhelm, what's really helpful to stop that sort of cycle continuing or exploding is to create some kind of circuit break. And there are many ways to do this. So it could simply be to notice yourself and ground at your feet, or to take a breath, or it could be to actually take some physical space and learning what you need to take learning what you need to do to create a circuit break is very important, because it's different for everybody and it may be different depending on the level of overwhelm or the trigger that is present. And once we've taken a circuit break, we can actually feel a little bit more safer and come to a space of presence and consciousness where we can then connect again, not from that state of overwhelm or danger or threat. Next is to find your voice. So when you're feeling yourself approaching the boundary of comfortable connection and going into a state of overwhelm, we need to let our partners know, or whoever we're in relationship, our co-workers, our kids, we need to let them know. And it's through that communication, that very authentic and vulnerable communication, that the dynamic can start to change. What's more, we can learn to ask for what we need in that moment. And this takes knowing what works, and it takes a bit of practice. So it may be that you need some physical space, a timeout, or it may be that you need a big hug. It may be that you need a space to cry. And finding out what you need from yourself and your partner in that moment is really important, because it's going to change the conversation. It's going to change the entire relational dynamic. The catch for this one is that this step requires a receptive partner that's aware of your experience and is really willing and wanting to work with you to change your pattern, because relationship is a two-way street. Stay in the brace. Often when we are moving into a state of overwhelm, the body experiences some kind of brace or contraction. And often the brace or contraction then furthers our inclination to either disconnect or demand and get into a fight. If we can start to notice the brace and sit with it, we can then challenge it. So in the case of a miscalibrated nervous system, often the brace is giving us the wrong signal. So we need to ask, am I really feeling a sense of threat? Do I really need to move into that survival physiology? Or is this something old in me? And if the answer is, hey, I'm actually safe with this person and I really don't experience them as a threat, then we can invite the brace to soften. And here we're working with breaking down old unhelpful patterns. By engaging both the somatic narrative and the mental narrative, we can create better pathways to internal and relational safety. Take it slow and steady. Once we've identified our capacity for connection, we can work to A, identify our thresholds, and B, increase our resilience. It's really important not to go from 0 to 100 quickly. For example, if your go-to pattern is after an hour with someone to need space and just need to leave, and you're kind of working on expanding that, if you manage to stay in your brace and find your signals and stay for a little longer, say till 90 minutes, and you start to feel those signals again, it's good to listen to them and call it a win rather than try and have an 8-hour marathon meeting with somebody of connection, because that's going to take you right into that overwhelm that you're trying to repattern. The nervous system needs time to calibrate new patterns and change the organizing principles to mark relationship as safe rather than dangerous or threatening. Your experience of relational safety or danger has actually been learned, and it's actually existing in your neurophysiology. Our nervous systems are learning all the time, so it's our job to teach our nervous systems that connection and relationship can be safe and wonderful. Those are my tips for you today. Increasing capacity for connection and achieving relational safety can be a life's work. It can be messy, terrifying, and distressing. I am still working on it for myself. It's also beautiful and heart-opening, and it may lead us to true intimacy and expansion. We exist in relationship from the moment we are born, and hopefully till the moment that we leave this earth. It is actually fundamental to life. We exist there in dynamic. And it's my belief that it's through conscious human connection that our own transformation and the collective transformation can be found.